Good morning, friends. I am Sudhanshu Chakraponda, Assistant Professor in Commerce, School of Management, Centurion University of Technology and Management. So, my dear friends, today we'll discuss about budgetary control. So, what is budget? Budget is generally a plan which is relating to a definite future period. Always remember, it should be always expressed in a monetary or quantitative terms. If it is not can be quantified in quantitative terms, that cannot be considered as a budget. And everyone, every individual as a person, everyone prepares their own budget, how much they will spend, how much income they will get. So everyone has to prepare a budget. Your mother is preparing budget for the what are the vegetables needed for preparing different foods. Your father is preparing budget for how much cost he has to bear for the education of yours. So similarly, everyone is preparing budget. Our country, different countries are also preparing budgets. How much income they will get, how much expenditure they will have to bear in a particular year, they have to do that. So as far as business is concerned, so here budget means it is a formal expression. Formal expression of what? Formal expression of expected incomes and expenditures. So always remember, it should be prepared for a definite future period. It can be for 1 month, it can be for 1 day, it can be for 1 week, 1 year, it can be for 6 months. So there must be a definite period. Your plan, your budget should be for a definite period. That's what I'm trying to say. So now we'll discuss about characteristics of budget. So what is characteristics of budget? What are the different features of budget? Always remember, budget is primarily a planning device, because here you have to plan how much cost you have to bear, how much income you will get, which will work as a sort as a basis for performance evaluation. You can have control on your performance by using budget. So that is the secondary part, secondary function of one budget. So we'll discuss some other features. Always remember, as I have said, that budget is always prepared either in money or in a quantitative terms, or it can be also in both. But it cannot be prepared in qualitative terms. Always it should be quantitative, maybe money or something else. And as I have said, budget is prepared for a definite future period. And the basic purpose of budget is to implement the different policies which are being formulated by management. If a company and its management is preparing some budget, preparing some policy, they have to first do one budget. So accordingly, they will implement their policy, whatever the policy they have formulated to attain the organizational objective. So now we'll discuss different key terms. What are those key terms? One is budgeting. What is budgeting? Budgeting is generally, it is one kind of art. The art which is required for preparing budget. That is called budget. And budgetary control, if you are asking, what is budgetary control? So budgetary control is basically a system of controlling costs. By preparing different types of budgets, if you are able to control the cost, that particular system is known as budgetary control. And what is budgeting? Budgeting is a system of controlling cost which includes the preparation of budgets. And how you will do that? By coordinating different departments. And you have to establish responsibility. You have to fix the responsibility for different individuals, different responsible employees of your organization. Then you will compare the actual performance with the budget. And there only your budgeting process is not over. You have to act upon the results to achieve maximum profitability so that our profit can be maximum. This is all about budgeting. So next we'll discuss about the process of budgetary control. Yes, like everything, budgetary control also needs a specific or dignified process. What is that process? Let us discuss one by one. So in first step, you have to establish the budget for each function or each department of your organization. Suppose you have planning department, you have production department, finance department, HR department, marketing department, research and development department. You have various types of departments in your organization. So you have to establish, you have to prepare budgets for each of the functions. Next, second step is you have to compare the actual performance with the budgeted figure. Whatever the figure you have budgeted, you have to compare with that with actual performance. And remember, it should be a continuous process, because you cannot say that we will prepare budget only for this year, only for this month, then we will not go further. That will not going to help the organization in long run. So budget should always be continuous process. Okay, so now we'll discuss some other steps. So after comparison, you have to go for analysis of variance. So definitely, as you are comparing the budgeted figures with actual performance, you will get some kind of deviation, some kind of variance, some kind of difference will be there. So you have to analyze that difference. You have to find out the reasons why this deviation is there. Suppose you have planned for 5,000 unit sales, but now you got only 3,000. Why this 2,000 shortage? So you have to think about it. You have to analyze the reasons. Then after analyzing, you can able to make a suitable remedial measure, so that remedial measures can be taken, so that it will not again happen. It will not repeat in again. So then one important thing is that revisions of budget time to time in view of changes in conditions. As you know that the environmental conditions are changing day by day, you have to revise. You have to revise the budget according to the changing situation. Suppose technology is changing day by day. Economic aspects, economic policy of the country is changing day by day. Societal factors are also changing. Legal aspects are also changing. So according to the changes, what is happening in our market, we have to revise our budget from time to time. Otherwise, that budget will not be helpful for us. So now we'll discuss about essentials of effective budgeting. So what is effective budgeting? I mean, what is the ideal budgeting? What is the successful budget? So what makes it successful? What are the things required? What are the pre-requirements? Remember, these things are required for most. First, without the support of top management, nothing is possible in an organization. So in budgeting also, you need the support from top management. Second one, it should be participated by responsible executives. So some responsible executives should be arranged, and they will participate, and they will conduct different kinds of activities. They will try to implement. And always remember, without a goal, without a reasonable goal, your budgeting is not successful. Your budgeting cannot be successful. Why? And while I'm talking about reasonable goals, I'm always talking about reasonable. So what is reasonable goals? You cannot go for a goal which cannot be achievable. So you always have to go for a reasonable goal, which can be achieved, which is logical enough on the basis of our resources available, on the basis of technology you have, on the basis of key factors what you are having. So that is responsible goals, reasonable goals. Now we will discuss about clearly defined responsibility center. You have to define the responsibility center. First, let me explain what is responsibility center. Every organization is divided into different parts, different segments, which is known as responsibility center. So that responsibility can be fixed on them, on every aspect, every segment. So when you are preparing a budget, remember the responsibility center should be clearly defined. It should not have any kind of ambiguity. There should not be any kind of confusion. That should be there. Next one, continuous budget education. As I have already said, that market is changing every day and change is the only constant. So you have to educate yourself. You have to educate your employees. You have to educate the employees who are involved in preparing budget and in its process. Next one is adequate accounting system. So when you are talking about budgeting, remember without accounting system, this budget cannot be possible. So you have to go for a proper accounting system so that a proper recording will be there. So that accordingly you can go for budgeting, or without accounting system it is not possible. And next one is adequate, sorry, it is over. Next one is maximum profit. Always remember, when you are preparing one budget, your prime objective, your basic objective, your main objective is to earn profit. So whatever the budget you are preparing, so the profit maximization should be the prime motive of this. Otherwise, there is no need of preparing budget. And how it will be possible? Suppose you are in budget for cost, so that cost will be controlled, cost will be minimized. Then automatically profit will be maximized if everything goes well. Suppose you are trying to maximize your sales, then also you can maximize your profits. So in this way, so maximization of profit is also one important aspect of effective budgeting. Next one is costs of the system. Every system needs a proper system. Without that system, nothing is possible. That is there. So these are all the pre-requirements of effective budgeting. So now we'll discuss about what are the steps or preliminaries in the installation of budgetary system. So before installing budgetary system, what an organization should have, what should be there in preparing a budgetary system. You cannot start a budgetary system in vacuum if your organization don't have an infrastructure like this. So what are these things? Let us discuss. One is creation of budget center. So when I am saying budget center, what do you mean by that? What is budget center? So for preparation of budget point of view, we normally divide our organization into different centers, and each center is known as one budget center. So you have to create different budget centers, and then you have to introduce adequate accounting records. Adequate financial statements should be prepared for every budget center, so that we will have we can evaluate their performance. We can judge their performance. Next one is preparation of organization chart. So what is organization chart? Generally, organization chart means the flow of functions in your organizations. Suppose raw material is coming, so it is the duty of purchase department to purchase raw material. Then purchase department will send those material to stores department. Stores department will take it, keep it. Again, the stores department sends it to issuing department. They issue different kinds of raw material to production department, and then production department produces different kinds of material. Then production department sends those products which are already produced to the sales department for selling purpose. So this is a flow. This is an organization chart. So in budgeting also you have to prepare an organization chart. Then establishment of budget committee. You have to establish a budget committee. What is budget committee? So as I have already said that it is not a duty of one person to prepare budget. So there is a team of people who are involved in preparation of budget committee, and that team is known as budget committee. There are some people from top level, some people from middle level, and some people from lower level. It consists of like that. So that entire team is known as budget committee, which is responsible for preparation and implementation of budget committee. Next one is preparation of budget manual. So what is budget manual? Any idea? So generally, budget manual means the rules, the regulations, the laws, the provisions, the guidelines, what you have to follow in preparing budgets. That is budget manual. Then establishment of budget period. What is budget period? As I have stated already, that budget is always prepared for one definite period. So here also you have to choose a particular period for which budget should be prepared. And next one is determination of key factors. So what are the important factors? What are the limiting factors you have? You have to determine for preparation of budget. So next we'll discuss about different advantages of budgetary control. What are the different advantages of budgetary control system have? Normally, as I have already said, change is the only constant in this world. So manager have to anticipate that change. He has to forecast the change. And budgetary control is that technique which helps the manager to anticipate, to think for change, to see the changing environment. This is one advantage budgetary control has. And second one is it coordinates the activities of various departments and functions of the business. Normally, there are various departments and functions. So the budget committee has to coordinate that. So there are different activities like purchase, finance, marketing, HR, production. So these all activities are coordinated. All departmental activities, all functions of departments are coordinated in budgetary control. Otherwise, you cannot prepare a proper budget. So next one is it increases production efficiency. So what is production efficiency? See, when you prepare budget, definitely you have to control the cost. And simultaneously, you eliminate different kind of wastes so that your production is becoming efficient. That increases the efficiency of production. Sometimes this budgetary control helps us in delegation of authority and assignment of responsibility. So what is authority and what is responsibility? Authority is the ownership to have something. I mean, suppose you are the leader of some organization. So it is your authority that you will lead. But what is responsibility? So responsibility means obligations, what you have to do, your duty, your functions. So when you try to delegate or distribute your authority, or you want to assign your responsibility, that is possible only for budgetary control. Next one, it directs capital expenditure in the most profitable directions. So there are different kind of expenditure you have. One is capital expenditure, one is revenue expenditure, and one is deferred revenue expenditure. And capital expenditure is what? The expenditure which is done for a longer period. Or you can say the benefit of which expenditures is not limited within 1 year. That is capital expenditure. And when you are planning for the capital expenditure, it means capital budgeting. When you are planning to invest in a big project, these are coming under capital expenditure or capital budgeting decisions. That is also helped by budgetary control. Without budgetary control, this is not possible. It creates cost consciousness. You will know that which costs are relevant and which costs are not relevant for or particular activity. By that, you can eliminate the waste costs. You can eliminate those type of costs which have less relevance in your organizations. Next is it will pinpoint different kind of efficiency and inefficiency. What is efficiency and what is inefficiency? You can find out by doing capital budgeting, your budgetary control, because it evaluates the performance. It aims at maximization of profit through careful planning and control. So when I'm saying that you have to control means cost control. So when your cost is controlled, definitely you will have a maximized profit. But for maximization of profit, you need a careful planning and control. That is provided by this budgetary control. And then it provides a yardstick against which actual results can be compared. Suppose we have a standard. We have prepared that we will secure 70% marks in communal exam. This is our yardstick. This is our budget. But suppose we got only 50 marks. Then we can compare the actual results with the benchmark results, or whatever you can say, that is budget. So it ensures that working capital is available for the efficient operation of the business. So what is working capital? So generally working capital means the funds or the capital which is required to meet the day-to-day expenses of a business. And today working capital management is playing a vital role in every organization, because if you have not sufficient amount of cash in your hand, then you cannot pay to your outside debt, current debt you cannot pay. So which will in long run affect the organization's image. So budgetary control ensures the working capital is available for efficient operation. It also aids in obtaining bank loans. Suppose you are going for proper control and going for proper profit making, then banks also will show some interest in providing bank credit, providing different kinds of bank loans to you. Next one is limitations. As I always say that every coin has two sides. So it is not only thing that budgetary control have only positive things, only advantages. It has some limitations also. So what are those limitations? Always budget is based on estimates. It cannot be actual. This is one of the basic limitation of budgetary control. And second one is danger of rigidity. When you have prepared one budget, means you should be rigid enough towards the achievement of that budget. It is also one limitation. And sometimes we get some opposition from our staff. Generally, the staffs are hesitant to be evaluated, to be guided, to be judged. So as they know that this budgetary control, they have to be evaluated, their performance will be evaluated, they will be judged, their activity will be judged. So different staffs opposes this budgetary control system, which makes it failure. And sometimes this budgetary control technique is also becoming expensive. In small organizations, this kind of budgeting team or cost of that budgeting team is not fully available for them. Some big organizations can go for it. Again, for big organizations also, they have to prepare a big budget, long budget they have to prepare, which also needs large amount of money. So that's why in general, we can say that budgetary control systems are most expensive. So you have to balance, you have to make a balance between them. Now we will classify budgets. Budgets are generally classified on the basis of two things. One is function and scope, and one is flexibility. On the basis of function, we divide one is functional budget and one is master. And on the flexibility, one is fixed budget and one is flexible budget. So now we'll discuss one by one. So what is functional budget? So functional budgets are always related to a particular function or particular department of business or organizations. There are some examples I have given here. The sales budget, production budget, raw material budget, labor budget, cash budget, capital expenditure budget, purchase budget. These are some examples of functional budget. So now we'll discuss one by one. What is sales budget? Normally, sales budget is based on estimated sales during the budget period. It is backbone of the organization because without sales, you will not have revenue. And if revenue is not there, everything collapses. So sales budget is the starting point for budget. All budgets, any other budgets are prepared on the basis of sales budget. And as far as sales budget is concerned, the sales manager is responsible for preparing the sales budget. So how you will go for preparing sales budget? Remember, sales budget begins by obtaining data for past sales. Whatever sales you have done in last, you have to obtain data about that. On the basis of that data, you can have a forecast about future sales realization. Suppose you have 2000 units sold in last year, and this year you have sold 4000. Then we can say in the next year you can have 6000. So with 2000 increasing one by 1 year. So that is the way by which we can prepare sales budget. And next one is most important, that is production budget. So production budget is an estimate of the quantity of goods which must be produced during the budget period. In budget period, if you have to prepare how much you have to produce. So for preparing production budget, you have to see the sales forecast, how much sales we require. Accordingly, you have to produce. What is the amount of stock is available with us in form of closing stock? What is our planned capacity? On the basis of these things, we prepare production budget. So in general, you can say after sales forecast is finished, the next problem is to determine how much to produce to meet the sales budget. So that is all about production budget. And now it is purchase budget. So purchase budget is concerned with purchases for the period of the budget. It is generally the purchase of raw materials, fixed assets, services like electricity, gas. So these are all purchase budget. And the main objective of purchase budget is to establish a plan that will allow purchases to take place at a minimum cost, so that we can purchase maximum things at a lower cost or lower price. That is the only aim, only objective of purchase budget. So now we'll discuss labor cost budget. What is labor cost budget? Generally, labor cost budget, you will have to know what is the amount or what is the quantity of skilled labor required. What is the quantity of unskilled or semi-skilled labor required? So you will have a knowledge on labor requirements and what type of labor is required. On that basis, you will go for recruiting, training, and promoting of employees. So labor cost budget is also most important. So there are so many other budgets are there. One is capital expenditure budget. What is capital expenditure budget? Normally, when you are acquiring fixed asset, or you are improving your old asset, or replacing any fixed asset, then whatever you are spending, that is known as capital expenditure budget. Suppose you are adding a new plant or new building, that is also capital expenditure budget. And next one is cash budget. What is cash budget? Generally, cash budget represents the cash requirements of the business. How much cash you need. You have to compare the estimated cash receipts. I mean, how much cash you are receiving and how much cash you are paying. You have to make a proper balance amount. And on that basis, cost budget is prepared. So now we'll discuss about master budget. So what is master budget? So master or final budget is a summary budget which incorporates all functional budgets. Like if we have discussed about production budget, sales budget, uh, you can say cash budget. All budgets are now summarized in a capsular form that is known as master budget. So that it includes all operations. Here everything is incorporated. But remember, when you are preparing or making putting into operation, that must be approved by budget committee. Without the approval of budget committee, you cannot go for master budget. And generally, budget contains details regarding sales, production cost, cash position, key account balance, debtors, fixed assets, bills payable. These are the basic things that are incorporated in master budget. It also shows the gross and net profits and the important accounting ratios. When you are talking about profitability ratios, gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, gross profit margin, net profit margin, and for accounting ratios, liquidity ratio is there, current ratio, absolute current ratio, quick ratio. For activity ratio, debtor turnover ratio, creditor turnover ratio. So these are some ratios that are prepared and mentioned in master budget. So now we'll discuss about fixed budget. What is fixed budget? Fixed budget is fixed for every level of activity. It remains unchanged irrespective of the level of activity. So that is prepared on the basis of a standard of fixed level of activity. So as it is not changing with the level of activity, so it becomes an unrealistic one, that most of the companies, most of the organizations do not follow this kind of fixed budget techniques. So as I have said, that this budget has a limitation of inability to provide for automatic adjustment. So when the volume is changing, it may be increasing, it may be decreasing. So this kind of adjustment cannot be done in case of fixed budget. So suppose the farms whose sales and production cannot be accurately estimated. In that case, you cannot go for fixed budget because you don't know what is the what will be the exact production, what will be the exact sales. So that is all about fixed budget. And now we'll discuss about flexible budget. What is flexible budget? It is just the opposite of fixed budget. Here, in case of flexible budget, we just uh, make one adjustment in that it can be changed on the basis of level of activity. Suppose the level of activity is increasing, our budget figure will also increase, or it will work accordingly. Suppose the figures of budget is decreasing, then our level of activity is decreasing, the figure of budget will also decreasing. So similarly, this is the case of flexible budget. And normally, as you know, everything has two aspects. One is fixed and one is variable aspect. So fixed elements of cost remains constant. You do not require to change that. But thing is that the variable elements of cost that should be changed with respect to the volume of output, level of activity. So that is flexible budget. Now we will discuss one major area of budgeting, that is zero-based budget. We are discussing those budgets. These are known as traditional budget. And in traditional budget, we always prepare budget on the basis of past experience, past performance. We take past performance as a basis and work on that. But in case of zero-based budgeting, suppose a new organization is there and it has no past performance. And suppose there are some organizations who do not prefer to base their budgeting on past performance. You cannot say that if my last day profit is 20 rupees and today is 30 rupees and tomorrow will be 40 rupees. You cannot say like this because there is always a change between that also. Suppose you just take the example of cricket. Before 2020-21, we have a record that India was not defeated in any World Cup matches. But for the first time in T20 World Cup in 2021, India defeated by Pakistan. So you can say that changes will occur. So on that basis, you cannot take everywhere that past performance as a base. So when you do not consider that past performance, or you take zero as a base, that is known as zero-based budgeting. So here the incremental or previous figure are not taken into consideration. It is just the opposite of traditional budgeting. So here, by considering zero as a base, we try to prepare the budget as it is being prepared for an first time. So what happens here? All activities are revalued each time a budget is set. Each time a budget is set. So that is, you can say this is zero-based budget. Next to it, what are the different main features of zero-based budgeting? So basically, zero-based budgeting is considered as totally afresh. Here, all budget items, both old and newly proposed, are considered new. Amount, whatever you have to spend for each budget item, is to be totally justified. You have to justify why these expenditures are you are spending. You have to give the justice of expenditure what you are making. So a detailed cost benefit analysis is done for every budget program. So this is our cost we are bearing, and this is our profit we are making out of that. So you have to prepare a proper cost benefit analysis. So then when you are calculating or when preparing cost benefit analysis of each budget program, when you will make it together, that will be the departmental objective or departmental goal. And when the every goals or every objective of different departments are merged, that will be the objective of the company, that will be the corporate goal. So by this way, we can able to make our corporate goal possible. So if in one line I have to say what is zero-based budgeting, that I can say that here in zero-based budgeting, how much you are spending is not important. Why you are spending is important. This you have to remember. So here quantity aspect is less or given less importance, but qualitative aspects are given more importance. So what are the advantages of zero-based budgeting? So in zero-based budgeting, all activities are justified on the cost benefit and consideration. You have to analyze and you have to justify what are the cost you are getting, what are the cost you are incurring, and what are the benefit you are getting, which will promote an effective allocation of resources. Or you can say that we will discard those activities which are not making profit, or you can say which are less efficient, inefficient, or loss making operations. Those items, those activities, those departments, those branches are identified first, then it will be removed, so that uh, our effective allocation of resources can be possible. And in zero-based budgeting, always it discards the attitude of accepting the current position. Suppose today we are earning this, it is completely discarded by zero-based budgeting. We have to justify why you are earning this, why you are not earning more, or why your profit is less. So you have to justify the current position. It is not accepted at all. Next, what are the other benefits you have? Normally, when there is a control on cost, so every employees are also psychologically pushed to avoid different kind of wasteful expenditure. So this is like this. Then you can say that in zero-based budgeting, there is an educational process. You have to promote the management team. You have to build a proper group of talented and skillful people who will go for promptly respond to the changes in the business. As I have already said, everything in business environment is changing day by day. So you have to change yourself. So manager has to make plan for the changing environment for the successfulness of the organization. So, but it needs some education. So those people should be trained. They will be educated. That is one part of zero-based budget. But in case of traditional budget, people do not go for that education. People are not trained. So the common people also can go for that traditional types of budgeting. And here, every cost behavioral patterns are more closely examined, whether it is relevant or irrelevant. In that way, it is always judged, it is always evaluated. And if suppose you get any budget which is deliberately inflated, means you have intentionally increased the budget figures, those are automatically rejected in the ZBB process because you cannot justify that. You cannot defend whatever the amount you have written, whatever the amount you have budgeted, that cannot be justified. So it will be automatically rejected in the case of JBB. So similarly, there are some disadvantages of JBB. What are they? So as JBB needs work from the origin, work from zero level. So it needs more work, it needs more cost, more number of paperworks are there. So in broad, you can say that it is an expensive process. That is first. Second, mostly managers resist new ideas, changes. Why? Why they resist new ideas and changes? Because they feel threatened. Because now, after the introduction of zero-based budgeting, all expenditures will be questioned. Questions will be asked for every expenditures you are making, and you have to justify the expenditure what you have done. So for that reason, managers are becoming or feeling threatened. So that's why they resist the new ideas, the changes what is made through JBB. And in one other light, you can say that JBB is danger in terms of it always emphasizes on short-term gains at the expense of long-term benefits. In the case of traditional budget, we always go for long-term benefits. But in case of zero-based budgeting, we are always focused on short-term gains. But you cannot say that the thing which is good in short term that cannot be good in long run also. That can be bad in long run. So mostly we find the short term gains are bad for long term benefits. So this is all about disadvantages. So there are few points more also. So in zero-based budgeting, we always see or we always find any activity, any expenditure as an illegitimate item. We always try to suspect why this cost is there, why cost is so high. So always we are moving from a negative point of view. So that is one you can say that is a negative part. And as I have said, for introducing JBB, so when you try to introduce JBB in your organization, so managers and the employees, responsible officials who are in the preparation of process of preparing budgets, they should be given proper training, proper education will be there. What are the implementation pros and cons of this zero-based budgeting? They should know that. So they need to get different kind of training and education for that. It is also a costly process. And as I have already discussed, in zero-based budgeting, what we do, that we always try to rank different decisions. This one is better, and this one is second, this one is third, this one is fourth. But you cannot easily say that which one is good and which one is bad, or this is first and this is second, because some activities and some positive aspects and some have negative aspects. So these are all disadvantages of zero-based budgeting. So this is all about budgetary control, budgeting, zero-based budgeting. Thank you for your support and cooperation. Thank you once again.